This is one of the small areas inside of our pantry in the 34J. My wife would like me to install a can pantry inside of the pantry right here. I'm going to show you how we do that. We did think of using soda can rollers, but they just weren't big enough for what we needed. We've got to take care of 4 people when we're on the road. We don't want to be too limited by space, so we're going to build the shelves so they'll go here, and then we're going to place tall items over here. So I'll show you how we're going to do that. The first thing you need to do is determine the size of the can you're going to be making these shelves for. These are for standard cans. There are smaller cans, there are bigger cans, but this standard can is pretty representative. It's about 4.5 inches long or tall, and I made the shelves about 4 3/4 inches, not leaving a lot of room, but you don't need any more than the can needs. So that's your first step, and then you'll cut all these first 3 shelves down to size. Those 2 are cut. I'm going to cut the third one now. Here we have the can rack assembled to this point. One thing I didn't point out before is I did take this 2x4 right here, and I did level it down so that it just wasn't a big bump. And that's so that the cans will roll down the shelves. I did take these supports, made them about 1 inch thick, 5 3/8 inches long. That incorporated with the wood shelves that are up there. These blocks at the end for stopping it, I said I was going to use one of the end pieces, and I did, but one thing I remembered is I've left just enough room really for a can to go in and out of here, so that couldn't be any bigger than what I had chosen before to use, so I simply cut it down with the table saw just a little bit. Now I'm going to add side runners onto here, because if I don't, the cans will just run out the side or block against it as it comes down. So now I'm going to add the side runners to these shelves. All right, you can see we moved from the shop over to the motorhome now, which is kind of a mess right now because we've pulled everything out of the cabinets to be able to do this. I have now got a slant involved by putting this 2x4 here. I now have side rails up. I basically made these 2 inches from the bottom of the plate that the cans will be rolling on the shelf. These were made at 5 3/8. They go from the bottom of the board to the top of the board above it. So it ends up right about here, right there. And these are 2 inches from the bottom of the board up. All I need is a little bitty track to keep the cans in place. Now we have tried the can rollers and everything else we could find. None of them were the right size. They don't go together right. You have to bend them a little bit. We tried again, but we are going to use the can rollers in the top shelf and double them, and that will give us some room for stand-up stuff. But here we're able to put 24 cans, maybe 27 if we put a couple of little ones up front, 3 little ones up front, so we can get 9 cans per shelf. So I'm going to show you it installed. You can now see the can pantry installed inside of the pantry, with the shelves being able to hold 24 to 27 cans. We will be able on this right hand side here to place tall items and still put 24 cans. Now above here we're going to go ahead and use a soda can roller like you would put in your fridge, and we're going to be able to stack 2 of them up over in here. That will give us the rest of this shelf area. But here we took maximum space and we could not find any soda can roller that would do what we needed it to do inside of here. All right, this is the finished product. Basically, I was going to stain it, but it's going inside of a dark closet. There's a lot of work to stain it, so nobody's really going to see anything except the very front where the cans come out. I've also placed a piece of, it's non-slip material, but it's the thinnest piece I had that should allow it not to mar up the side of the cabinet when it goes in. I'm going to show you what we're going to use up top. Now we can get at least 24, maybe 27 cans on this if some of the cans up front are small. We are going to use something like these can rollers up top. Now we can get 11 cans on each one of these, so I'm going to put 2 together so I can get 22. But the reason I can't do that in the shelf this goes in is because I cannot get 2 of these on top of each other or side by side in that cabinet. Like I said, these work fine, and maybe you don't need to build something like this to get extra cans inside. So up top, we're going to put things that don't get used as much. So I'll show you those installed in just a minute. Here you see it installed in the cabinet. The brown paint seemed to have matched well with the color of the coach. I did go ahead and put on, like I said, this non-slip material to pad the wall so that we are not scraping anything. I did the same thing to the two can holders we have up here. Now, you're wondering why we probably didn't do this down here. It's because that cabinet up top is taller and allows us to put one on top of each other. And we could not find a can roller that fit the distance of this cabinet front to back. So you don't necessarily need this. You can just use the store-bought can rollers. One nice thing about this is it gives a little more room up here in front so that we can reach in around to the sides and backs and everything a little bit easier. So that's what we're going to use there. I've also got a little bit of room on top of that. You can't see it because of the light, between the top of the can rollers to the ceiling. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these up and show you what it looks like then. And one final shot with the cans all on their racks. I was only able, with the large size cans, able to get 24 cans in these three. And then up here, I don't know how many I got because I mixed sizes. There's some smaller cans and some bigger cans, so I didn't count. Basically what we're doing is the most used is this very first one down here. Then the second one we put in veggies. We just alternate cans in there so that we can just always pull from the front. Same with that shelf right there. And then up here are the items that we use that you need to cook with sometimes, as well as stuff you won't use very often. So that's kind of a mix up there too. The hardest part about this is you can't just see what you've got in each rack, so you got to plan it when you load them. Next thing I got to work on is these drawers. Well, the drawers are nice to pull out for tall things. If you've got a lot of tall things, they don't use the space effectively. So we've got to figure out what we're going to do there. But that's it for this video.